Welcome, One Financial. Friends, you go way back. I was trying to remember this morning how we started working together, but we started working together before I was actually in the business.
Yes.
But I don't even know how we got introduced. I know, like...
As a client through Corey.
It was a Corey thing, but I didn't know Corey. I was trying to remember how that happened because I didn't know Corey until I started at PSR. I think it was somebody else. And just coincidental that we became friends through Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys been around to watch our growth over the last 12 years, but same for you guys. You guys have blown up. How's it like being out on your own? Outside the big banks, like originally when we met, you were the Lang team from Scotiabank. But you're now.
And before that we were the Lang team at the Evergreen Bank, and you know we've had a great run.
The other green bank.
The other bank that happened to be green.
Yeah.
I think we loved our time at the banks, but we've noticed the opportunity where once the OSFI rules started to get tighter and tighter, every bank was interpreting them a little bit differently, and depending on their business mix, their rules vary a little bit, and that's where there's an opportunity for the client to really maximize their outcomes, depending on, we can pick different bank depending on their needs, and, once we've jumped over to the dark side, as they say, we've never looked back. It's been really rewarding.
Yeah, and your clients see that, like, are you able to compete more now for your clients? As far as rates and obviously that is concerned, as opposed to being pigeonholed by one bank?
Well, you can really give advice because you have a broad range of products throughout different banks versus just being able to advise on the best product that you have to offer. Now we have a better options for cross-section of possibilities, so yeah. That makes a big difference.
Great. And as far as the team goes, tell me about the team now. How big are you guys as far as numbers are concerned, whether it be agents or staff? Where are you guys at now?
Well, we don't want to brag about our volumes.
I want to get into volumes, don't worry.
But I think that the big thing, the key for us is that what makes us different in the industry, and throughout the years I think we try to stick to that, is that all of our salespeople underwrite first, so we don't have mortgage salespeople per se. Everybody who talks to the client is an advisor, and they can understand the deal structure, they can understand how the pieces of a puzzle can be put together, and then versus just trying to sell someone a rate or a term or something like that. So we're advice-based, and we've managed to put a really good team around our salespeople so that they can then talk to a lot of clients and have a really back-end support to then take care of that client and see it through. So to answer your question, our team is not huge by industry standard, but is very high producing per mortgage rep, per agent, which makes it very efficient for clients and for us, I would say.
Great. So let's go back. When I met you, Joanna, you were the founder of the Lang team, and Jason, you weren't there yet. You were stuck down on Bay Street, pulling your hair out, right?
There.
But Sam, you were pretty early on to the Lang team. From when you started to when Sam started with you?
2011.
Yeah.
That's where we started working together. So it's been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
We met at the bank. So that's how
Scotia.
Yes.
Or the Green Bank, Scotia?
Yeah, it was Scotia. When Joanna came over from TD, then her and I met. And at the time, she was pregnant with your second child. And she was looking to expand because she, at that time, was just a one-woman show, right? So we joined together, and I was like her protege, right?
And how long were you guys working together before you actually came together?
No, so in what sense? Like when she came over...
You started working together right away?
Well, I think you were over like a few months. Like the whole idea of her coming over was to expand the team.
Okay.
That was like the draw, right? And then we got introduced by our then director. He had met me. I was working at the branch, doing mortgages at the branch. He had met me and said, "This is not the place for you. You can do better." and then introduced me to Joanna, and then we clicked. We liked each other.
Travel began.
Yeah,
The rest
exactly.
is history.
Yeah.
You got her humor right away?
Yeah, like it was like pretty instant.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And Jason, how did you end up on the team? Besides
Yeah,
being married to the
so
founder?
I'm lucky enough to be married to Joanna, and when we were present together, Sam always jokes because people would look and say, "Well, how does Sam?" Yeah. But background for me, accountant. I was in the insurance industry. I grew to be a CFO for a number of years. I wasn't home a lot, traveling a lot, and Joanna was one of, if not the top mortgage person within a bank across Canada. Sam sort of joined, and they were creating this empire within Scotiabank, so that our kids started to feel that dad's never home, mom's always working, and it just piled up. So the decision became, am I like, bye, have a good one, I'll be working, or is there a way to work together? So kind of I joined the trio with Sam, Joanna, and myself, and we grew to be very big. I think probably the largest team within Scotiabank, and we sort of hit the confines where now you've kind of grown to your max, where could you continue that growth? And that was in the mortgage broker channel, which was great because I think we all had a discussion one day and it was like, okay guys, this is what it's going to look like. And Scotia was, very gracious. It was literally, we kind of were working there one day, we moved over to the broker channel pretty much the next day. And the benefit for our clients was now we had access to, Scotia, other banks, other monoline lenders. So it was, rather than one product, now all of a sudden we had 20 to 30 different products and lenders. So from there, kind of the rest is history. And, I think that's where we really started to work together as well and kind of see each other's growth has been, I think, motivating for everybody.
For sure. I've really enjoyed watching you guys and work with you guys. It's always been a really great relationship, both socially and professionally. But what I want to dive into now is that transition, right? So being at Scotia, you're in part of a machine, you're part of a monster. You have the infrastructure and the support. Tell me about the transition, and you guys can decide who wants to answer this, but tell me about the transition into running your own show and creating your own infrastructure and systems.
We were part of the monster, now we are the monster. But really, Sam and I do what we do well. It's really, credit goes to Jason for all the other things, for all the value add, all the systems. So I'll let you take over from here.
Well, I guess, on terms of the sales side of things and motivation, they're the experts. And we also have Jason Friesen, who's one of the managing partners who was a top broker and came in with us when we rebranded Tagline Financial. But really the goal was, you are missing a lot. When you're inside of a bank, you have a brand, you have a back office, you have, instant credibility for the client. So when we moved over to the broker channel, people take it for granted. They just assume that your name is going to be powerful enough to make clients feel comfortable. Well, trust me, it's like that's not the case. So you really have to work hard building that trust, building that brand, building that it takes time. So that was really the transition from the Lang team as we continued to add people, like-minded people. It was like, okay, we can't be under a name anymore. Let's create this brand as a team, and Outline Financial fit us. Outline your dreams, we'll get you there. So that was fun. We're sitting in a room, kind of coming up with what's the best concept. How's that going to feel for a client, and and then you start filling in the gaps. You have your strong back office. We really, Joanna mentioned it before. We almost structured ourselves a bit as a law firm, whereas our advisors are really professionals at what they do. Some of them are accountants. We've had lawyers in the past that are coming to our team. We have real experts that are supported by our underwriters and our admin. And kind of our support staff were senior level people at the banks that, they wanted something a little different, decided to join us. So we really kind of, it's we can grow to be, we kind of hover around the 25 person range. I think that's big enough where we can service, our broad range of clients and referral partners, but we can keep the culture and make sure the client experience is the same. So that's...
Which is always hard with growth, right? Making a transition like that and building it up the way you guys have. Maintaining the culture it's hard. It's a lot of work.
Full-time job.
Yeah, especially when we get locked up for 2.5 years or 3 years.
I think we also didn't know what we didn't know when we made the shift, and that was mind-blowing in itself, right? Like,
been there.
Yeah, no,
That's a good point.
It was interesting, at least for me. Like when that day came where we had finally made the decision, and I was signing my resignation letter. I had never done that before. Like, I was leaving the bank, and for how we were raised, like cultural background, like you worked at a bank, that was like a big deal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So for me to be quitting the bank now and kind of betting on myself and on this, it was
But
like,
you got lots of advice from your parents.
yeah, and the good news is that they actually didn't provide really any advice. I kind of just did it on my own. And I still, like, I think at the time too, I was like, Joanna and I had worked together already 5 or so years. So, you know, there was obviously a lot of trust, right, between the three of us. And so I just kind of trusted the both of, you know, I trusted Jason. And I remember signing that letter and my hand was like shaking as I was signing it. And when we gave our resignation, it was interesting. But more mind-blowing than that was the transfer over and understanding what we were missing. Like, we didn't quite understand it. And I think that in itself was a good experience for me, because now when I provide advice, it really is advice-based. Because now I'm taking everything into consideration for the client's needs. And I think that, knowing that myself and experiencing that myself, that's what I try to provide a client, is those options and understanding that.
Yeah, I mean, we're pushing on 10 years kind of plus on the brokerage channel. I think watching, you know, they're the sales experts, right? And you can be an expert at one bank. And even that, you know, that takes a lot of effort to understand the underwriting policies of that one institution, right? Now, all of a sudden, multiply that by 20 or 30. So, you know, if you're taking the leap over, it's like, holy
Was that a
smokes.
big burden? Was that a big burden?
Yes,
for you?
I think you take for granted that everything's going to be somewhat similar, and then you get into it and the nuances between the you know, the banks, the monolines, the, you know, insured
Credit
deals,
unions.
uninsured deals. You know, it takes a lot of time, but once you get good at it, what Samantha was saying, you're really advocating on behalf of your client, because you know right off the bat. We even know, you know, some institutions don't work with the broker channel, but we know their policies inside and out. So it's like you're always kind of advising from that big picture, and you're helping the client say, listen, in this case, it's probably best to do that because we're in it for the long run. You're going to be best served to do this, and here's why. Or did you know, sliding scale's different here. Maybe we can get a deal done that you can't get done there.
What I always say is that when you transition from being an expert at one bank to then going out in the world and being overwhelmed by what's out there and trying to learn it all, you go through kind of stages. Like with you know, any change, you're like, wow, I didn't even know what I didn't know. That's the very humbling from being a successful person somewhere, and then like, ooh, I didn't know this, I didn't. Then you go through the angry stage. Why didn't I know this? And I didn't give client this or that advice because I didn't have the industry knowledge. I just had a knowledge of what I knew.
Was there any short-term regret during that phase where you made the transition to doing this on your own, not realizing what you didn't know?
For me, it just propelled, like, the decision was like further, like, it was a great decision. Like, for me, that's what it did, because I was like, this is going to be so much better on so many different levels.
And, you know, and you have to, you thank Scotiabank. I think we it's not for everybody. Scotiabank is not going to be grateful. I mean, you're leaving them. I think because we had put in a lot of time, you know, we had a very solid reputation within the bank. They said, listen, we will work with you. So they also, you know, I think that
And we
also.
still do a ton of business
Oh,
with
yeah,
them because
exactly.
they have a really good selection of products, a really good service. So
Most
on that
brokers
sense,
say
we
that.
didn't lose that relationship is not lost. We just expanded our offering. Yeah.
So-
I don't think any regrets. I think what you were saying, kind of propelled. It became opportunity.
Okay,
You know, all of a
short-term,
sudden.
we call it short-term stress.
Yeah. Well, there was of
Different
course a
word.
little bit. It's like exactly.
Yeah.
But we jumped right in. Like, those first few months, we had meetings every single day with the lenders. I remember we would sit 1 hour or 2 hours a day and we would just learn everything. And then we would create, like, remember those spreadsheets we used to have, which would cross-reference, and just to try to, like, get as much of an understanding as possible. And then eventually it all just, like, sits in your head.
It's all like a blurb now.
It's
Blurb.
funny,
Yeah.
we went through this together at the same time because we were launching our
Yeah.
brand at the time before Berkshire Hathaway. And, you know, you guys made the conscious choice to do this. We were forced into it. If you guys remember, we ended up with the RICO issues with regards to our
yes,
brand and our
right.
marketing.
Yeah.
And we basically were told, like, drop your brand or launch your own brokerage. So at least you guys had the luxury of making the choice.
No,
We didn't
I
want to open
remember
a
that,
brokerage.
actually.
But you
Yeah.
know what? Power to you, because that original team of people back at that little
Alley,
little
yeah.
storefront.
Yeah.
600 square feet, you've built, that's where the culture started, and you're still all together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The core people are still together,
The
yeah.
core people are still together, and then obviously you naturally attract more like-minded people and build from there. But when it all started, and when you find the right people, and you can, it's like a marriage, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to figure out all those pieces. But power to you to continue with the same team and just grow and evolve. And
Blair's the wife, just for the record. Yeah, no, it's been interesting to watch. So tell me about your client experience. I know firsthand, the reason why we work with you, not just because we're all close, but it's the client experience. We know when we hand a client over to you guys, we just know they're being taken care of, right? So tell me how you approach a client and why you're different from a lot of the same service that's out there.
I would say consistency is probably key. Like, we have really good processes in place that we do, and we're not stuck in our ways, right? Like, we're constantly evolving. Like, Jason right now is launching something for the brokerage that is going to change the processes. And why is it happening? Because we see a potential to improve. And so I think in that regard, like, that's what makes us different. So as an example, if we give like a service level standard, right? So for your agents, our service level standard is 2 hours. Within 2 hours of an introduction being made, a response is then given to the client. And that goes always. And it's just an email response, introducing ourselves and going from there. And then it's like follow-up. If we don't hear from the client, we follow up. We have like a process in place. It's within 48 hours. And then if it's not then, it's within 72. And then your agent is notified, right? So like that consistency goes for everyone. It doesn't just go for you, it goes for your agents, it goes for the top producer to maybe not the top producer. It's just how we do things. And then we tweak from there, right? And we make ourselves flexible.
Yeah, and for, I think, 100%. And for individual client, I think where the difference is, we do a lot of business. And we really were able to define what we are. And we say that we're not in a mortgage business, we are in a relationship business. And that's what allowed us to grow over the years, is because if you do the right thing, the money always comes. So I think that the key message there is to every conversation, we come with an open mind. Let's meet the client where they're at. Let's understand all the pieces of a puzzle, and then, we're not going to give them 100 options because that's just noise. We're going to give them 2 or 3 options and say, this works for this reason, this works for this reason. Or in your case scenario, you should probably go back to that blue bank, and my suggestion is do this and this and that.
She's scared of the names.
Because in your scenario, maybe you can port that mortgage and add a piece and this and do this and that. And hopefully this is the right advice. We will, help you figure out maybe how you should suggest that they structure it. But maybe sometimes we can't do, 99% of the time we'll do the deal, but sometimes maybe there's another option that they should explore. We'll help them on their way. But usually what happens is, that client is like, thank you, I didn't get that advice when I walked in there. So here's restructure, here's how you do it. And then they usually will refer us someone else or give us an opportunity to compete at maturity. But I think that's the key message there. You have to do the right thing by the client and give them the right advice. And then that builds trust. And that's how our business is built, is on trust. And then if that client says, hey, you should talk to Joanna because she gave me advice that saved me money and she didn't even do the deal, guess what?
You just segue into my next question. Where does your business come from? How are you guys generating business? Obviously, you have a book. Where's new business coming from?
I mean, I can take that too, because I think it segues exactly from the last point. I think the differentiator is a lot to do with the team. I mean, the difference is the mortgage broker industry typically is a lot of individuals that work under a name, under a brand. At the end of the day, that's a one-person show. Maybe they've hired an underwriter, maybe they've hired an assistant, but the level of that, their experience is based on the deals that they've done, right? Same as you go to a branch at a bank. The experience of that FSR, or that's the right
Okay,
terminology,
yeah.
would be the number of mortgages that maybe they did. And they're also cross-selling. Whereas, the way that we really saw the opportunity was, our managing partners, Joanna, Samantha, Jason Friesen, have done literally billions of dollars of mortgages, and that accumulated knowledge gets shared with the rest of the team. And then you bring on, the other sales reps who also bring that knowledge. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, team meetings every week where we talk about what's going on in the industry, what's going on with the deals. We have an underwriting pod that sees every deal and packages it the same way for our lenders. So our lenders love us. So as a client, you're getting the advice piece, but you're also getting those years of experience and real deal knowledge that's constantly updated and refreshed.
Yeah,
So,
you're your own company, but you're also still a team, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're-
And that makes us stronger.
I'd compare it to it's like you're the Heaps Estrin of mortgages, right? Same type of concept.
I mean, I go back. I really think the law firms do it really well. I mean, that would be it's not.
And Heaps Estrin is a great team too.
Well,
Yeah.
they're,
We like
yes,
it.
yeah.
No, this I'm saying, like she's a brokerage, but she's still a team, right? And she's-
100%, yeah, we,
a very productive team.
Kaylee's team
And
is.
I think she's one of your big agents as well.
Yeah, shout out to Kaylee.
Yeah.
So-
I'm trying to get.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
trying-
saying
I'm
now
trying-
segue back. Yes, exactly.
Just so you know, I'm trying to get her on here.
I think obviously a lot of our business comes from our partners with the realtor partners. I mean,
You're segueing again.
yeah. It's a lot of where we've been successful is with professional realtors who really care about the way that they treat or work with their clients, and then they see us an extension of that brand. So it's like, and then kind of once a few people work with us and feel like, wow, that actually added to the service that I gave my client, then it's someone saying, hey, do you have a good mortgage broker? And someone tells somebody. It's like, oh, try Outline Financial. Samantha, Joanna, Elena, Andrew, all these people are great. Any one of them are great. They're going to treat your clients. So
I think it's a
builds.
testament to you guys that we go to your event every year, wherever you're holding it at the time, and it's always the same people. It's always the same agents returning year after year. Obviously, there's new people there every year, but
Getting a little bigger.
it is absolutely it's never. But the same people, the same agents that were there when I first started going are still there today, which is obviously
thanks.
they're happy.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's a knowledge sharing. I mean, you have to add value, right? You can't just be good at mortgages. You have to, provide your partners with added value. So it's like whether it's blog content, whether it's sitting doing podcasts as a team and sharing information. I think you were mentioned hosting events. So we have Urbanation. Sean Hildebrand, the president there, has been very gracious with his time. We've hosted 10 years in a row.
Which is always a great event, right?
Yeah, and this year we have Benjamin Tall. The past 2 years has joined our event. So it's. It's
so thankful for
so
that.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. But really, it's just you always have to be thinking about where's the value. Like, how are you adding value to partners? How are you adding value to your client? And I think, you can't take anything for granted, right? You got to.
One thing I want to jump in there too is I think, maybe something that we don't talk enough, but as we're talking, it came to mind is what are the differences between just getting the deal and throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks, and really understanding policies and taking the time to structure that deal. Like a lot of times I'll go back to the client and I say, we need some exceptions here. I need you to help me beef up all your paperwork so that when we package it for the bank, we can answer all of their questions and objections and give them some other comfort. Show them, don't tell them you have net worth. Show them net worth or this or that. So we, and some obviously other experts in the industry too, if you really take the time working on that hard deal and doing it right, you are so much more likely to get an exception from the bank to get this done at the better price, because you make them more comfortable with the deal. You put in the work and you dug deeper. And I think that's a huge portion of what we do, is really not just quickly sweep through, but really go deep so that we can pull the value and make the lender, often the bank or other lender, really see the big picture, which helps.
Mm-hmm. We were just talking about it. You're building relationship with realtors. I know it's really hard for, we're always referring. It's a one-way referral, right? We spend a lot of time referring clients over to you guys. You don't get those clients back. It's hard for mortgage brokers to refer refer clients, because a lot of your businesses come from other agents, right? But where I always see you guys are really good at is sending those clients back, right? When they start talking about renewals and figuring out what they're going to do next and reaching out to you guys, you're always good to, we always get calls from Sam that so-and-so is talking about.
Yeah, so we do have a really strong database, a CRM system. So every introduction that we receive is tracked back to the person that introduced us. So it is interesting because this comes up, 5 years down the road, that client is thinking about purchasing, and all of a sudden that's sending it right back to where that relationship came from. It's also a dynamic.
Clients
You're working as a
clients,
team,
right? As
yeah.
well.
Yeah, clients referring
Sometimes
clients.
there's
Exactly.
a few levels of separation, and then if we can say, okay, they had great service from Mark's team, did they talk to you about it? And then we can pull
Bring
that
it back.
together too.
So what other strategies, I know we talked about the yearly event and stuff and just what I mentioned just now, but what's your other strategies for building relationship with realtors around the city, the industry?
We create a lot of marketing pieces too, where it's not necessarily like glitz, it's more like real meat and potatoes of like what's going on. So for instance, like if there's like a new introduction, so when the NRST tax was introduced or the foreign buyer ban came out, like we give them like a fact sheet so that they could either send that to their clients or it's good for them to know. And then if they decide that they want to send it to their database, then we'll co-brand it. So many people didn't know that as a first-time home buyer in 2022, if you bought, you got an extra rebate. And so we created marketing around that. And that was an amazing touch point from many realtors to send to their clients to be like, hey, if you didn't know, you should talk to your accountant about this. And I got a lot of feedback where they're like, I didn't even know this existed. My clients were so happy. And so we'll co-brand that for the realtor. But we create a monthly kind of, I would say like a newsletter.
Outline?
Yeah,
Jason.
you call it like almost a value add pack. So,
Yeah.
one thing that, because we're numbers people, one thing that,
Your
my
report.
background was accountant.
Which is, I'm going to say, before you even say it, your market report is the best in the business by far. Like everybody waits for it, right?
Okay, no, thank you. So, we did see that there was a gap in terms of the data availability and analyzing the data within the
And
Trevor
breaking
region.
it down,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So one thing we do that on a monthly basis, really deep. We go back, 10, 20 years and we analyze sales, new listings, active listings by region, and we have reports that compare 3, 5, 10-year averages and the growth, and then try and provide some good tidbits and talking points each month that a lot of realtors value. Some say, okay, I'm not going to look at that, but it's just it's finding areas where we can almost joint prospect, right? It's like okay, how can we help you go get business? Is it hosting a first-time home buyer seminar? And we put it on Facebook where it's joint with a realtor.
I see in our Slack channel with all of our agents saying, does anybody know if the outline financial report's out yet? Because people,
Okay.
they don't even wait for the Tread one, they wait for the outline financial one,
That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
And and I have to say, all of those marketing pieces and value add items are down to Jason's standard. Everybody's laughing, but that's true, right? It's not something that we just put out quickly. We curate
The
it.
report only takes Jason like an hour or two to put together, right?
Well, that's a process. We're getting it down to a science, but it's hard, right? Like anything, if you really care about what you're putting out, you're not just putting it out to put it out. Ideally there's some value. Like why do you want to put this in front of a client? Why is it going to make the realtor stand out versus somebody that doesn't maybe work with outline? And it's like, so we do. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time. We wish we could do more. We're working on that, but I think yes. To your point,
Because
we
it's
really-
at Jason's standard, it's
No,
still all in-house, and he vets every piece. So it's a lot of work for him, especially. Like, we all try to add value as like the partners to create the marketing, but then to Joanna's point, it goes through Jason, and before you see it, it's gone through probably 20 or 30 edits.
Exactly, but a big thing here too is the way that Jason approaches this. You get news coming from you, news overload for all of
Right.
us. But it's not the news. It's like, okay, what does this mean to you, and what does this mean to your client? So the noise comes in, and Jason says, okay, what's happening here? Where is there an opportunity for the client or for the agent to share with their clients, or what is their warning, or what what does this mean? What are the consequences? And what are the opportunities? And I think that that's the key thing what the agents are looking for is like, what's in there that then I can use as my value add to my referral source.
I mean, in fair, you guys are being super kind, but the goal is, that's what I'm kind of bringing to Outline. You guys are bringing the skill and dealing with client. So, we're pooling that together it's not any one of us that becomes Outline. Outline Financial is that because of you, because of me. And then other people on the team bring in their piece. And we've been so lucky to build this great group that everybody's bringing a different skill set that creates the Outline brand, that creates our difference, which then we, hopefully shows to our partners' clients, our clients.
And it takes a lot of work to get there, right? It takes a lot of work to get to that great group. Like we all, I think, have made some fumbles over the years, but but getting to a point where you're really proud of your group, that's really rewarding, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. not the fumbles, don't worry.
The functioning dysfunction?
Yeah, exactly. No, but let's talk about business and entrepreneurship. Like, what has been your biggest obstacles in building this up to where it is right now?
How much time do you have?
No, I know. We all have them, right? But like, what would you say? Or what's your biggest learning curve, I guess? Let's try it that way.
I think that being in a broker space, you're not just doing deals, you're also running a business, and then you have to decide where your time goes. And there's so many different aspects that you could invest your time in, but time is limited. So deciding on what are the core things you're going to focus. And I think the biggest thing was to decide what you are and what you aren't. And I think in our industry, same with realtors, you really have to, you can't be all things to all people.
No.
You have to differentiate yourself, and I think that that's been the hardest journey, and then trying to figure out what are the most important things and take out the noise and really focus on that.
Yeah, know who you are and who you need to bring on to fill gaps.
Yeah, that's always, a work in progress, just trying to, hopefully attract the right talent for people who are great at their job, but also like-minded, care about the client the same way, have the same level of attention to detail. We sometimes have too much attention to detail, but it works out for clients. But
I think we just talked about what gaps Jason fills, so I'll let you answer this, but what gaps does Sam fill? Putting you on the spot here.
Sam? Little Sam, our daughter from back in the day, that's how people look. Sam
looking so cute over there in that little chair.
That's right. Sam is no shriveling violets. Sam is our broker of record.
Yeah, I know.
And she is incredible at compliance and keeping all of us organized. Sam is very compassionate towards her clients and extremely technically strong. So she's also a lead for other people on a team on how to solve deal problems. Her mind is just so good at putting the pieces together and thinking outside the box, and I think that that's a huge...
Not necessarily deal opportunities. I mean, really, the really neat thing about a broker space is, and it was kind of similar back in my insurance day, being in the insurance broker space, is, a deal can get done. It's just at what price, right? I mean, a lot of our business is we try to get everybody, in the bank space, A space, best rates. But if that doesn't work, maybe there's a A- space or a B space. And the rates right now actually aren't that much different, but the underwriting rules are much more flexible. And if that doesn't work, what's available in the private space? You have mix, you have individual private lenders, you have, they're very equity driven versus necessarily the borrower driven. So, Sam is really good she knows all of that, and kind of where, someone would take them, they're like, I don't even know where to start. Sam's like, boom, boom, boom. She can just see it, kind of work the path and say, well, this fits perfectly here. I know the person that would do that, this and the other, and here's the next step. And she's able to kind of do all of that, very quickly, while at the same time being the principal broker and knowing that FISRA requires this in order to be compliant, because, fraud and all this other stuff hurts the industry. So it's like, how do you do it the right way?
Yeah.
So everybody wins. Realtor gets the deal done.
Which was a lot of gray in the business, right?
Yeah, I mean that's huge. I think at the end of the day, we get the deal done, which means the sale closes and the realtor's happy and it's smooth and hopefully results in
and
repeat
everybody
business.
can sleep at night.
Everybody can sleep at night. Yeah, exactly. So.
So what else is for the three of you guys? Because you guys are all partners, and you have a fourth
We
partner.
have a fourth
Four. So
partner,
it's
Jason
four partners,
Friesen. So
correct?
we couldn't like have a whole party here.
Yeah.
But Jason brings amazing value to the team. He is a relationship making machine. He is he pumps out incredible amount of volume. With he adds another level to the team in terms of efficiency, how he does the amount of deals that he can, and how he makes it really look effortless. So there's a gift in itself. So he's a big mentor to our salespeople as well, because you can, there's only so many hours in a day, and how do you do that and provide the value, but at the same time balance your life? And we all have lives, few kids, few
Gotta fit it in somewhere.
cats, dogs, everything else.
Yeah.
So just
What about the learning curve on team management, right? You've gone from a smaller, tight team at Scotia to now a 25-person team. How's the managing the personalities? That
I
learning
laugh
curve
how you're
been?
laughing at that. I don't think I approach this, we work for the team, and the minute you forget that,
Yeah.
you're dead,
Yeah.
right?
Done.
Because there has to be something in it for everyone. There has to be value. And I think the most important thing is the ethics, the common goal, and how you work. If you have the same common background, and everybody, we all have to come together and work. But yeah, it's hard, right? Because you need to support your people, and the same, like you need to give value to your referral sources, value to your clients, and value to your agents. And I think we all are right now partially in a value-add business. What are you contributing? So is it a struggle? Always, right? If someone says something different, I think, they're lying.
So I normally don't focus on the market too much on my episodes, but having you guys here, I have to. Let's talk about the market. Treat us all like we're dumb, and let's break it down for people out there. What is happening?
Are you hearing that? It's crickets. I think literally, across Trev, there were just over 5,200 sales. If you compare that to August 2020, it was less than half. In general, I think just the volume of transactions are down 30% versus what we typically see, so things are slow. And I think if you're in the transactional bit, people have to buy a property in order to, for a realtor to have a closing business. People need a mortgage to do that. So if you don't have sales, you don't necessarily have those transactions. We are insulated somewhat. We have a renewal. We have our clients that are constantly renewing. Yep. We have, clients that because, prime rate's 7.2% right now, people are looking to how do I pay off that, credit card debt? How do I pay off that HELOC? How do I consolidate my car loan and all that? So we do have some of that kind of refi business that sort of keeps it, but it's slow. I think the positive out of this is it's been a long time since it's been this slow, and we're finally starting to see that inventory creep up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily great for everybody, but if you're a buyer, there might be choice, right? You're seeing active listings, in particular townhome condo segment, hit near highs for the past 10 years. So September numbers will be really interesting to see what happens. But if you're a buyer, it might being prepared or an investor that maybe has the access to capital.
I think there's key there. I think there's going to be, we talked about this before we started, but there's going to be lots of opportunities coming up, right? Be greedy when people are weary, be weary when people are greedy.
Yeah,
so exactly. I think this is that time that's coming, Tell me about the next few months. What are your, you don't have a crystal ball,
Sure.
But where do you see this going?
First
of all, do we have another rate hike?
Oh, good question.
In the near future?
Well, I'll let the two of you take that.
50-50, I think.
50-50.
But I think the big thing, when we're talking to the consumers, especially the investors, surprisingly, many of them don't look at the fact that, the prices, not in every area across the board, but generally the prices are down, which is the opportunity. They're looking short-term cash flow. The prices are down, but the rates are high. It's expensive to carry. It doesn't cash flow. It's not a good time to buy. We have some interesting tools that Jason's built looking at that, and it is if you look at the bigger picture, if you can cash flow short to midterm, if you can get a really good deal on a property and in the short run rates are higher than average for last 10, 15 years, that is exactly the right time. You should look at what you can do. And same with end users. Some sentiment is I'm going to wait until the rates come down. Guess what? There is a correlation between rates and prices.
For sure.
And a lot of people are scared or they're waiting. I think it's precisely a really great time to jump in, understand what you can do, and then educate yourself on the market and look for an opportunity.
Yeah.
I am, for example, thinking about the OSFI and their stress test review. They're doing that every year. In December, they have to review stress test and then determine if that rate plus 2 is still serving us and if it's protecting the market. And right now, if mortgage rates are let's say 6.5% ish, so you're qualifying at 8.5. Do we really need to protect the client because we're worried that the rates are going to be at 8.5? And I think no one in the industry is thinking about that. So maybe there's a potential for them to revise or abolish the stress test. I'm just hoping here. But there could be other factors that happen, and suddenly if affordability improves, people feel good, and boom. We've seen that switch before, right? Where things are tough, and it's not
It
like...
just turns on.
Well, that happened
Right?
in May, no?
Yeah.
So what is that
Well,
like-
I could go back to your question. Will the Bank of Canada move up again? Well, they were done in January, weren't they? I mean, I think we saw that. I think we saw the market respond where even the thought that they were done got people buying again, got people thinking about buying. And we saw a run up in average price to May. And then all of a sudden the Bank of Canada's like, hold on a second, we're getting some pretty, I guess you call it, anyway, stronger than expected results in terms of inflation economy. And all of a sudden the Bank of Canada stepped in June, July, increased rates, and everybody's like, oh no. So we were done in September, weren't we? September 6th, the Bank of Canada met, hold rates, everybody's, yes, we're done, GDP slower, all these economic numbers are slow. Inflation comes in. Inflation comes in at 4% versus, an expectation at 3.8. All of a sudden, the market is, the investor market bumps up and down every single, when SVB collapsed, bond yields dropped, interest rates actually dropped back in March. All of a sudden now, the bond market's pricing at about a 50% chance of a rate hike before the end of the year. I would probably think that's maybe a good ballpark, 50-50, whether the Bank of Canada goes up once more. But at some point, when we hit that top, and hopefully sooner than later, I think for a lot of people, then I think you start to see people being able to plan, being able to budget, and they just take it into consideration. And then you'll start to see the market move. That's probably going to move average prices up. And then the question is, do you wait too long? And no one can time the bottom, but,
And some interesting stuff with you pulling all the demographic projections, right? And how much housing we have in Ontario and how much we need. The shortfall
It's
is
crazy.
huge.
Like we all know this, right? Like Doug's report last year came out with a 1.5 million unit shortage for the next 7 years. Now that's not that's just like dwellings in general. It's not just sales and whatnot. But that's a massive shortage. Like the demand is there. We know the demand is there, right? So they're all sitting on the sidelines right now. Inventory's starting to creep up. So what are the key indicators that you think will give buyers the confidence to come back with that type of demand that we know is there?
I think it's affordability personally. I think that's where it needs to start. I think we always get this question, or at least I do, from clients. Do you think it's a good time now for me to step in, even though rates are here? And I always say, timing the market is never advisable, right? Do you need a place to live? And a lot of people are becoming forced to find homes too, because either their landlords are selling units or they're moving back in or something like that. That's what I've been seeing a lot lately. So I always say, can you afford the monthly payment? Are you comfortable? And then to Joanna's point, Jason's created some cool charts where we show them, okay, well, if you wait and the price is here and it goes up incrementally, does it make sense still? And how do you feel about it? But I think there's always going to be a need, whether it's because it's too small or whether because you need to downsize or whatever the case is. And if you can afford the monthly payment, then I think it makes sense in any regard. right? Especially with where rental
There's so much
prices
noise,
are.
right? It's hard for realtors and for people like yourselves to educate the clients like that when there's just so much noise out there, right? Toronto Life and using the word bubble, or BlogTO using the word bubble all the time, and you know.
Everybody wants to feel like they're getting a deal to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the rate or the price.
Yeah, I just think that word uncertainty,
Right.
it doesn't cause action. Uncertainty is uncertain. You saw that, and when COVID first hit 2020, so it was middle of March 2020, April, no one bought, but no one listed. So it's just the market just stopped. So you actually, and that's why we moved from a absolute standstill to prices shooting up that no one expected, because the market stopped and then it just took off. So once
It's really wild when you break it down what happened.
Yeah, it's I mean it
Like, who would have thought, like, when the world's shutting down, we're going to be locked indoors, and like, we just thought everything was going to end. Everything was we just launched this company. Blair and
open
I,
houses.
Blair and I
One
were
of
going to
those.
move. We were
So,
going to move to
yeah.
Mexico, right? Like, we're just like, let's call it. But look what happened. It's unbelievable.
So I think you're feeling that a bit now. I mean, up to this point, sales and new listings were sort of sitting. They weren't really. They were both kind of matching each other, which was letting average price remain relatively where it was. Now you're starting to see those new listings start to creep up. I think that's maybe they're calling it deleveraging. So a lot of investors that maybe are carrying 6 properties, well, they're going to get rid of 1. Maybe they're going to get rid of 2, free up their cash flow to, because interest rates are so high. So, that's something to watch for. That happened in 2017. So the last time we had a big market correction was the Fair Housing Plan. 2017, what you saw there was areas like York, and some of these other areas where inventory, in particular detached inventory, started to spike, and that was a lot of investors.
Kathleen Wynn's 16-point plan.
Right, exactly.
It was really effective.
Exactly. So that was a shock system, but you saw inventory climb. We hadn't seen that until now. Maybe you're starting to see that, but because of the population growth supporting the demand side, Canada grew 1.2 million. The latest quarter results. Ontario grew over 500,000 people. The latest quarter results. So, rental rates it's hard for everybody, but they're going up because there's lack. The vacancy rates are extremely low. So you have this underlying demand, and there's an opportunity. Inventory starting to go. When does that demand jump on that inventory? And I think that's where I think interest rates will be a big thing. Once people feel like, okay, we've hit the top, I think that will be the signal for people.
But then the switch is going to flip, and it's going to go from 0 to 100,
right.
which we've seen so many times. Uncertainty causes people to pause, and then when media starts saying, "Oh, it's moving on in the other direction," then the switch flips, right?
What did CMHC come out with in the last few days?
Yeah,
the shortage across the board.
Yeah. So, CMHC they did a study, and I think they said we're short by 3. We're short by 3.5 million units to get back to affordability, and it's like
60% of that's here. Right?
That's 3.5 million units in addition to what the pace that we're already building. And meanwhile, the latest stats show, housing starts have actually slowed a little bit. Renovation investment has slowed a little bit.
Well, locally, our recent election's not going to help that to speed up anytime soon, right?
But there's good news about the new construction
yeah.
HST. They're taking that off, well, hopefully.
Yeah, they're taking the
There's
GST
been
off.
some updates to what they originally released, right? What's the update?
Well, the updates is they're not charging builders GST on new builds. And then the other thing which came out, I think, yesterday was CMHC is increasing the amount of bonds that they'll offer. So if you're an investor and you're going to build a 5 or more unit residence, you can actually get access to better rates through basically CMHC backed insurance. So you go to your lender, they can then get backstop, which gives you a better
That's
rate.
a
which
hidden
hopefully
list secret that
stimulates
people aren't
growth.
talking about.
No, but
Oh,
these are all
they're
big
on
things.
your
So
team.
there are underlying actions. So it's nice to see there are some things being done that hopefully does stimulate more units. We got a long way to go, and I think everyone recognizes that supply demand, it is imbalanced. It will be, but can we at least bite into it a little bit?
That actually piques me my interest. I'm going to have those guys on for an episode, so one of you guys should maybe join on that episode. That'd be good.
I'd love
Just
to
talk
about
about the CMHC stuff.
That'd be cool.
Awesome. Where was I just heading? I was just heading somewhere else because I wanted to touch on a few things. Pre-con market. Where's it heading?
I mean, if Sean Hildebrand was here, he could tell you. I haven't seen the latest quarterly update. Obviously, you know, the pre-con market was on fire for the GTA over, you know, many years. You know, it definitely slowed. I mean, I think the cost to build a unit is so expensive now that, you know, a new build price per square foot versus resale price per square foot, you know,
there's a gap there that's reversed of what we were used to back in the day, right?
Yeah.
But
so, you know, I think I'll hold any comments until the next quarterly report comes out. But you definitely saw, you know, it was sort of insulated from a bit of the slowdown in the market earlier. The past few quarters, it's kind of been hit, and it's slowed as well.
When Sean's report come out?
He usually releases it. What are we now? Probably you'll see it in October. Kind of late October, I'd expect. I mean, he will usually do the summary on their blog, so it's always a great, you know, it's a quick read. I'd say go there kind of within a month after the end of a quarter, and he'll usually report on the rental market and also on the new build market, and it's you know, it's always great stuff.
He's a great resource for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to close it up here. Everybody stresses out about these questions, especially the last one, but I'll go each of you. Favorite neighborhood in Toronto?
Favorite? Well, I have to say, my heart is in Roncesvalles. I am.
Did you get dragged
no one
out of there?
knows Polish.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I need to get my fix of Ronci.
Yeah.
Get cherry bomb coffee, go get some Polish food. I just love it.
Nice.
I love where I live as
love
well,
it.
but my heart is in Ronci for sure.
Nice.
Whichwood.
Whichwood?
I just love that area. I grew up around there, and I recently made the move to the suburbs because I took on the family life, but I still love that area. It's just home. That's where I was born and raised. So,
Nice.
yeah.
For me, I gotta say waterfront. You know, I kind of started my working career in Bay Street.
I've never heard anybody say that.
No, you know what? I think where they're going with the waterfront, the East End, I think it could be something special. I think like you drive through there now, they're actually starting with trails and parks and green space, and then they're gonna, you know, fill it with buildings. So, you know, it could be an area, it could be Toronto done right going forward. But I like it. I mean, I like the activity down there.
When I first moved to Toronto, I stepped off the plane. I rented a place down in Queensquay in the 350 and 390 tower. You know, the brown towers?
Yeah.
I think they're gray and red now. But
Yeah,
that's,
they painted
so I
them,
lived
yeah.
down there for a few years. Yeah. Favorite restaurant in Toronto?
That's a hard one.
Come back to her, maybe.
I'll come back to you. You can't say Polish deli.
Yeah.
Favorite restaurant in Toronto?
I really like Piano on Harbour there.
Yeah, I love Harvard. I just love being down
Yeah, I
there.
love that street.
Yeah.
That's actually another good area, like that College and Grace area, Palmerston.
And what's the, oh God, I just went blank. What's the sushi place across the street?
From Piano?
Yeah,
Oh,
like it's
yeah.
like very close. Oh, it's such a great sushi place. But it's like a higher end sushi place.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh God, it'll come to me.
This is going to sound like a cop-out, but I'm going to say Pizza Nova because after a stressful week, I'm sitting with my kids. We order a Friday night. We'll get a Pizza Nova pizza, and we'll connect over it. So it's, you know,
That's
it's yeah, it's just a cop-out, but thin crust, well done.
Nice. Pizza, no, I love it. That's the Blair. Blair would have answered the same thing.
Yeah, I'm my comfort food is Italian, so I like Terroni, which is very close to our office.
Mm-hmm.
I usually ban myself from going there because it's also a takeout. Too much carbs is not good. Kale salad from Gusto.
I love the kale salad from Gusto.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
amazing.
been in so long, though, like pre-COVID.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's right beside our office.
I'm at Terroni way too much. Like, my kids are obsessed with Terroni, so we get dragged there all the time.
It's good. At least they have a good taste.
Yeah, too good. I ever tell you that story? My kid, like my London, just will eat anything. Like she has a really like expansive palate, I guess, inexpensive, I should say. I land in Cape Breton. My Cape Breton family pick her up at the airport. My sister and brother-in-law, and the kids are in the back seat. And Noel and Kenny say to London, "Where do you guys want to? Let's get some lunch. Where do you guys want to? We'll pick up something for the way home." And Kingsley's like, "I want steak." And London's like, "I want lobster." And they're like, pizza, it is.
So what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, good question.
Mine, I have to say La Ban, where you guys went to
Yeah,
dinner
okay,
with
that
us.
was great.
Tay and I got engaged there. It's our kind of our place to go back to. I've always been a huge fan of Rob Gentile from the Buca days down in King West. Not that Rob's there anymore, but I still remember Buca when it was Rob.
He's opening up in LA, Stella.
Yeah, he's been out there a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
was
opening
I
a
was
restaurant
wondering-
there.
Interesting. I
It's
didn't
called
know
Stella. Yeah.
that. Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
He does it.
But Buca Yorkville as well. You know, more of a seafood vibe. Yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Old
Thanks so much
friends
for
and
having us.
great colleagues, and appreciate your time.
Oh,
So
thank you.
many,
for
so
having
many
us.
amazing memories.
Yeah,
and many
for
more
sure.
to make.
For sure, for sure.
None that we
Awesome.
can mention here. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a wrap.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.